Hello and happy Friday Night Live. Hopefully, I won't have too much of a glare. I think it's those blinds. I didn't shut them. Happy Friday. Hey, Bree. Hey, Dory. How are you? We were just sitting here going through some family pictures we got. Honey, would you mind shutting those blinds?
Again.
Hey, Anthony. Okay. Bree, while you just popped on, I have a question for you. This has been a very big week of big surprises. Hey, Mom. I went to the post office and I had a package from Amazon. And this week I had not ordered anything from Amazon. And I opened it up. Let me see if I can get into it again. You know, why can't I open a package? There we go. And I was so shocked and surprised and excited to find this right here. This is a screw top for sprouting seeds. And this kind of holds it open. And here's your little tray to catch the drips. So, Bree, did this come from you? There was nothing in there like to say, you know, in the Amazon package who it was from. It was just like a brown Amazon envelope. But I would love to know who sent this because I didn't order it, but I'm very excited to use it. Bree, I see your little laughing emoji there. Was it you? So as soon as I opened it, I was like, yes, I figured it was. Thank you so much. You are so kind and extremely generous and spoil me rotten. I had a feeling it was from you. Thank you very, very much. I truly appreciate it. I wanted to go ahead and use it right away and get started sprouting some seeds, but I wanted to wait until we were on our live so that I could show it and thank you very, very much. So I'm going to be sprouting broccoli seeds tomorrow and get that going. It was very sweet of you, very thoughtful. All right. Everybody had an exciting week. I know we have. Let me see if I can move. Get out of this glare a little bit. I don't know. Every week we go through this. But did everybody have a good week? Any surprises on your end? Anything you'd like to chat about? I'm still getting it back. I think the glare, we have our door has that peel and stick stained glass on it. So it has diamonds that are different colors. It looks like stained glass. And when the sun sets, it shoots right onto the porch. And it's about getting close to that time. The sun's over there. Anthony, Kim, you and Kim ran into a challenge and disappointing news about our move. Oh, no. I've been enjoying all your stories about Shadow, your new puppy. He's very cute. Brie, you tried to post a note, but it wouldn't post on Amazon. Broccoli seeds seem to get mold faster than other seeds, and I was concerned with your cheesecloth not letting in enough air. Thank you. I wanted to sprout seeds, but I knew that we were going out of town, and I didn't want to leave it here. And we had a house sitter for all the animals, and so now I'm going to sprout seeds. Shadow's been wonderful. We're having lots of fun with him. He is just sweet as he can be. I think you'll really, really love having a dog. They're so fun and so loving and so loyal. Bree, you want me to be successful. Thank you. I want to too. And this upcoming year, I have vowed to start trying some new things to kind of extend into um, my our homesteading life. And just, I've got the norms, I feel like, um, under good control and relatively good knowledge. So I want to spread out. And I think it was sprouting seeds, soap making. Oh, and I'm still interested in the bees, especially at our new homestead. There's a lot of um, plant life, trees, fruit trees, flowering trees. So I really want to try the bees. Love the new house. I bet your mom is happy. Mom and dad are very happy. Um, and thank you. Love the new house. We love it too. It's really, it was hard to come back. My heart was not ready. And Dean stayed a few days longer than I did to get some stuff done. And yeah, I just want to get back as soon as I can. And mom has fallen twice this year. So I'm really anxious to be back for multiple reasons. Anthony, you won't be able to get a loan to buy land or a home in New England. So now you're exploring land in Arizona. Ooh, land in Arizona. How's Kim feel about it? It's hot and it's desert. It's beautiful, but it's hot and it's desert. And um, you're going probably. I don't know if they have to haul water the way we do here, but that's going to be a pioneering lifestyle like we did. But I wish you guys all the best because I know how bad you want to get started. She's not happy, but it's temporary. Is there anywhere else up north, like maybe just to, I don't know. Well, I'm sorry. Mom, yes, you are happy Sarah and Dean will be closer. Yeah, we're really, really excited about it too. I think you will need more furniture. That's so funny that you say that because Dean, he said, the house is going to look sparse because we had a ton of furniture from the old house that we sold. And so now this house looks pretty full. And yes, we're going to need more furniture. That house is a little over 700 square feet larger than this house. So I am looking for an antique footboard for the second bedroom. I want to bring that house to its period. It was built in 1930, so it's almost 100 years old. And I want to bring it back. And so the front room, this isn't going to make any sense to you guys, so I won't go back, go into it too much right here. But yeah, I have some furniture to find. But that's part of the fun too. You haven't been able to find land we can get that is cheap so we can avoid paying rent. Yeah, but it's going to cost you to put something on that land. Rent's just so high everywhere. Well, land is cheap out here, Anthony, but you got to haul water. That's for sure. It's not too bad. There's you just got to find the right area. I mean, Dean did most of the deep searching, but we searched for years. I mean, this was not an overnight thing. Let me try to move again. And I've got to get in there. That's a little bit better. And I've got to get to where I can prop my feet up on another chair. When do you guys move out to Virginia? As soon as we sell this homestead. That's when we go. So please, a lot of prayers that I've been praying that the house sells quickly, the homestead sells quickly, and it sells to somebody who's going to love it as much as we have. I was just down in the garden today, just doing some spring kind of, I put it to bed nicely, but just kind of, going through there and the stuff that still had some life on it in September and October. I was just pulling the dead off of it. but also looking around. And I was thinking if, because we can't plant any seeds out until the first week of May for cold weather things like carrots and beets and stuff like that, because we could get a frost up until late May. But after Memorial Days, when you can plant other things out, but it's hard because I want it to be beautiful for somebody else, and at the same time, I don't want to be here to plant it out. So we are going into town Monday to sign our contract, our listing contract, and then we will be listed the first week of April. So, yep. Mom, maybe it's best you don't go up North Anthony as the weather has been unbelievable. Yeah, it hasn't, but Mom, they actually like that kind of weather, believe it or not. Hey, Kelly. Yay, you're on the live. Thank you. We had a wonderful, I don't know if you can hear that. We had a wonderful visit the other day. Hadn't talked to Kelly in a long time, and we will again soon, but I promise you I won't keep you as long as I did recently. Albert is on. Having a well is a huge blessing. Yes, it is. You won't have to worry about wildfires as well. Yep, we can barbecue out. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what Dean will do with the sheds in the house. I think you have learned how important water is. We have learned about how all of our resources are so precious. And, for a lot of people, they think, oh, we live in such and such location. We're never going to run out of water. Resources, there's not an endless supply. There's just not. There's no such thing. And so you really need to protect them. And it wasn't until we moved out here that Dean and I realized how wasteful we were with our water because we had never lived in a place that didn't have water freely. And so we were using like 4,000 gallons a month, 48. And my garden was very small, a 10 by 10 raised bed. And out here, we use 1,800 gallons a month. That does not include watering the garden, but that's only for a couple months anyway. Excuse me, I'm eating the root beer candy Mom and Dad had my birthday package. And yes, Dean is one of the sheds is going to be the chicken coop. It just needs to be, it's there, but it needs to be overhauled. Then the cottage, the half of it is going to be my sewing room, some canning stuff. There is a hookup in there for a sink and a stove. So it could, be a canning kitchen. I do want to hook the sink up so that I can rinse vegetables and things off in there. Then the room next to it is going to be some space for Dean. The barn in the back is going to be his shop. He's going to put a new floor in there. And there's a shed that is going to be used for storage. And yeah, then we have all the space in the house. And I love the house. I love it. How much are we selling for? We are listing for $495, which is a very good price for what we have here. I know the house isn't big. It's 1,100 square feet. But we are on 40 prime acres, even though, there's no such thing as a well out here. We have an in-ground cistern. Everything's brand new. It's only 3.5 years old. And and of course, you guys have been along with us and have seen the builds that Dean has made, and everything is very, very high quality. He doesn't do anything halfway. And, we had no idea we'd be moving. And so everything was built to last. Maybe you can buy our place. Maybe. The listing stuff will be up shortly. Yeah, you can make things for the craft fairs. Oh, Brie, yes, making things for the craft fairs in Virginia. I cannot wait. I brought a whole tote of stuff that I had in stock out here because when we moved, I thought that there would be things like that out here, and there's not. And so those are very regular things and festivals, and just as the different seasons come in Virginia. And so I already have a small stockpile, and I have started crocheting again recently. I have actually finished 2 projects, 3 projects. And so I had totally lost, and it's sad. I totally lost my desire for my crochet. And Dean kept asking about it because I mean, I used to do it constantly. When I would sit with him in the evenings while he watches his shows, I would sit there and crochet. And he's like, "I haven't seen you do it in a long time." And I was just like, "Why? What's the point? I'm gonna have all this stuff, and granted, I can crochet things for friends, but you can only do but so much." And I think the first year we were here, I did blankets for everyone, but yeah, but it's come back with a vengeance now. Yeah, Albert, thank you. That is a fantastic price for what we have out here. Yeah. And there's no restrictions. So, you can have any type of animals you wanted out here, and you have all the land to do that. So, we are hoping and praying that we get a fair, solid offer. We priced it there so that it would be very competitive. That for someone who maybe their max approval was 500, that we would still pop up in their search, and we want it to sell. Um, we're not we're not trying to be greedy, and you know, it's a very fair price for what is out here and for um, real estate in our area. Anthony, you definitely deserve that much. Sadly, way out of our range. Yeah, I'm so sorry. This would be awesome for you guys. It really would. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I've been reading. There was somebody asked. It was another homesteader, and they had a thing out on their Facebook and said, "Would you ever consider selling your homestead?" And there were so many people that were like, "No way." I got this homestead, 15 years ago, 40 acres, really cheap. We could never afford to have this again. Um, and we get that. We really do. So, yeah, it's very difficult, I know, right now, but um, for people coming to this area, um, it's a very fair price. And you won't find usually, I mean, we're 25 minutes to one town and 35, 40 minutes to the other. Um, and it's off the beaten path. So, yeah. Are we moving to Rocky Mountain? Nope. We are moving 2 counties over. We're in Charlotte County. So, Franklin County, if we had purchased our place that we have now, it would have been probably $100,000 more in Franklin County. We talked to an agent that my dad was familiar with, and we got a really good deal on this property. Where it was a blessing. It just the way it came about. I was drawn to this property. I saw it. We weren't any like even really seriously. I was just kind of cruising around on Zillow one day, and I had seen a house in a place called Elk Creek, Virginia. And my dad said there is absolutely nothing out there, but it's beautiful country. Well, Dean and I like our privacy. We don't want to be in a neighborhood in town like that. But the seclusion has started to get to us. We truly are secluded and isolated, almost. But Dean's big concern was, and I think he's overly concerned, but that's just my opinion. Um, is that we know that reconstructive surgery is somewhere in the future. I'm going to try and put it off as long as I can, but here in this house, there's not a bathroom upstairs, and I have to sleep in the recliner, and I will have to continue to sleep in the recliner upstairs in the loft um, for a little while after having the ablation too. So the last time I fell down the stairs and I was trying to carry a few things. I was carrying a book and a drink, and I'd been upstairs reading way too late. And I fell down the stairs and broke a rib. And so I think with the potential to have such a major surgery, knowing that it's a 6-month recovery period, he's scared to be out here all this way by himself. And he'd have to hold the whole homestead down by himself because, I would be extremely limited and I can only pre-cook so much. But anyway, mainly the main reason was mom and dad. Um, and any help that they need, we want to be available to them, see them on a regular basis. I didn't like the fact the 5 surgeries my dad had last year, they were not like little things like getting a mole taken off. He had a TENS unit put in his back, which is a major deal. They thread that into your spine. He had a total hip replacement. He got an infection, so he was filled with infection and had to have drains put in and drains taken out. And then he had to have his gallbladder taken out. And that gallbladder surgery, it lasted twice as long as they said. And, mom's been caring for him, and I don't want her to wear out. And it's just going to be a privilege to be there for them for whatever they need. Sorry, guys. Callaway is there. Yes, I'm familiar with that area. Your family farmland. I'm very familiar. Oh, talking about family farmland. Let me interrupt you guys real quick. The house that we purchased that was built in 1930 and the big farm out there, the lady who we purchased it from, it was her and her 2 kids. She's elderly now. She's in her late 80s, I believe. And her 2 kids, her son mainly, was handling it for her. But we were able to speak to someone who lives a couple miles down the road. They stopped by, and they go to church with her. And so there were those barn cats out there, and she loved animals, and she was feeding them, and she was concerned. And they didn't even mention it, but I did. And I was like, oh, just whoever, somebody must have been feeding them if they're coming around. But Dean and I are feeding the barn cats, hoping that they'll stay. And she told her that, and she says she was so happy. She's like, it made her day. And so she wanted to know if she could meet me. Well, I told Dean that I would love to know the history of the house, the original footprint, because there was an add-on in the 80s. And they're the only family there. And I would just love to hear the history of that house, because when they were doing the septic inspection and stuff like that, our realtor was there, and her son, came by, and he was walking through the house one last time, reminiscing, talking about, being a kid there and his grandparents there and eating Christmas dinner there. And um, yeah, that's just amazing. I'm so into that stuff. And I want to bring the house back to the original period. It has a dishwasher, so I'm not giving that up. And they added on the laundry room, but the dishwasher is pretty much the only modern convenience besides the bathroom. But I'm sure they had a bathroom in the 30s. But the half bath, the den, and the laundry room was an add-on. So I'm really excited to get to meet her. The next time I go back, it's gonna be set up so that I get to meet her and visit and hear the history on the house. And I can't wait to share that with you guys. Let me catch up here. The property looks fertile. Have you given any thought to fruit trees? Yes, and there are some fruit trees out there already. There are peach trees out there. There is a persimmon tree. Um, Believe me, that the first day I was there, I spent the whole morning into the afternoon out in the property, just scanning everything. Some things that I didn't recognize, I Googled. There's roses out there. Um, in the peace garden, that's what I call it. There's a lot of what they call monkey grass. That's a lot all over the property. Um, Woolly lamb's ear, the daffodils, um, dogwood trees, forsythia, which is one of my favorites. But anyway, lots of oak trees, just absolutely heaven for me. It was sold through, what is it, Bree? It was sold though 50 acres. We went from a 3-story home to a 1-story. Yeah, this is all one level, which is really, really good. I'd like to know the original footprint of the farmhouse, and I think that it's where all the original hardwood floor is. The add-on pieces, I believe, is where the laminate floor is. So when Dean was up underneath the house, because it has a crawl space, where the den is now, her son was saying used to be a big porch. And Dean said, yeah, it was, because the concrete steps are still underneath there. So that's kind of neat. You can, the bones are there. So that's neat. I'm just so excited. My brother is coming down. The sink in the main bath needs to be lifted. It's only 30 inches from the floor. So it needs to be lifted about another 4 inches for me and Dean. So he's going to take care of that. And there's some updating to do in there, but that's fine. And, like I said, I want to try and bring this. It's not modernized by any stretch of the imagination, but the original bones are there, and all the crown molding is there, and the wood floors, they're in beautiful condition, the French doors, all these things, and all the doors through the private area of the house with the doors, they all have the glass doorknobs and the brass plates still on there. It's just so cool. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to go the next time I go, I'm going to be doing a little bit of sanding the walls, and there's a few rooms that I want to paint. And just the room, that it's gonna be our bedroom. It's a butter yellow now, and I'm gonna keep it the butter yellow, but I just want to kind of clean it up and repaint, refresh, and do all. I'm going to share all that. I'm going to take you with me. I'm really excited for all of it, and I'm so glad that you guys are, willing and happy to come along with us on this. It means the world to us. It really, really does. And we're very excited, And the kids will be near, but my kids will be nearby. So I'm really looking forward to that too. Getting to put my arms around their neck and host Christmas this year, and Just do all the things, all of them. Will we keep the RV? Yes. Um, that's how we're going to get back. Our final trip. That's how we're going to get back. Yeah. So, like we did on the way out here, the way back, the final trip won't be any rush. And usually, what we did coming out here, when we drove until we got tired of driving, and then we just stopped at a campground and went to see what there was to see and ate well. It's kind of like a vacation. We will have the dogs with us in that final trip. We only had the cat last time, but we'll have the dogs with us. Um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So, and I'm believing that that trip will be made in the early summer. So, if not sooner. When we move back, Brie, I don't know. Um, there's a carport there, and it would probably fit underneath of it if we put it in the center. There's a lot of camping opportunities, back in Virginia. I have no idea right now. We won't need it for an extra room. It won't be my sewing room. So I've enjoyed it, when we've gone. I enjoyed it because we used to tent camp, and there's no way I would never be able to get up off the ground. But, being able to take a shower, use the bathroom, those types of things, get cleaned up, you know, that really is a good thing for me. Um, we used to be able to tent camp, and I could stay in a tent all night long, and I can't do it anymore. But I like camping. It's how I really got started learning a lot of homestead stuff. Um, I did a lot of my learning about cooking everything from scratch when we would go camping. And we did it starting off to see what we could do, you know, how much could we rough it? And we did pretty good. We did pretty good. Or the chicken incubator. True. That's true. That's the great thing too, is that I figured when we were out here, when we got the chicks, I mean, I had no clue. We had vacationed out here, but I had absolutely zero clue. And if I had, I wouldn't have got those chicks probably till mid-June. Because you couldn't leave them outside. It was still too cold at night. So I mean, like, you couldn't put them in a brooder, you know, in an outdoor enclosed area. Um, but back in Virginia, if I get chicks in May, I can put their brooder in an enclosed outdoor area and they'll be fine. So I'm looking forward to that. And I am going to get a rooster this time. I've already decided I'm going to have 7. So my favorites out here are the red stars. So I'll get 2 of those. I want one white leghorn because they produce like crazy. And then it was 2 of the black Australorps, a black Australorp rooster because they're the most docile. Maybe it was 2 leghorns. It was 2 red stars. Okay, 2 leghorns, 2 Australorps, and the Australorp rooster. I've already got it figured out. So it's just a matter of it'll be next season. There's just no way. No way. How many acres on the new property? It's a lot smaller. 3. 3. We're connected to their main property, which originally was 90. But the man that owns that property now is a farmer, and he runs cattle. Everybody out there farms or homesteads. The lady a couple miles down from us, she has goats and chickens, and yeah. But you know what? First of all, if we had 40 acres again, it probably would have been $600,000-$700,000. and that just wasn't happening. Um, and it's horrible to think like this, but you have to, especially with what I went through last year. If something happened to either one of us, we want it to be so where the homestead would be manageable for one person. And these 40 acres out here, um, with having to do fire mitigation, um, it wouldn't be sustainable for one person. And if something happened to Dean, I can't stand the thought of it, but if something happened to Dean, um, I'm not afraid to stay out here alone. I've done it. Like I said, he stayed a few extra days in Virginia than I did. Um, but I'd have to hire somebody for fire mitigation. That's not cheap. And then if something happened to me, out on the property, I would die, but there's nobody to come check on you. It's just that's the way it is. And there's no such thing. People around here, you don't roll up in their driveway to say hello. You don't roll up on anybody unless you've called ahead of time and they know you're coming. Um, so it's just different. It's great. It was great. Um, and it was a true pioneer adventure. I mean, it has been pioneer homesteading. We haul our water, we've grown our food. We still do, supplement with Azure. We have to drive 45, 50 minutes to our drop. Um, but, we've been totally secluded. Um, I'm not sure how else to explain it, but it's been it's been a dream come true. It has. But this also is too. Um, so we have plenty of property to where I can kind of free range the chickens or put them into a chicken tractor and do all that. Um, there's plenty of room for the dogs. My garden is going to be fantastic. I've already got the spot plotted out. It's near the frost-free um, well pump. Can you imagine that? I mean, I just still can't get over the thought of not having to haul water anymore. It's just been so ingrained in me every 10 days to go haul water for the garden. Um, with the IBC containers. And then during the summer, even though it's only once a month, it's 3 trips. And it's hot. And, just going through and opening all the gates. And I know that sounds stupid to be like, oh, that's not a big deal. But it gets to be when it's hot outside and, you have to get out of the truck 6 times for one load. So by the time you get done doing water, you've done those gates 18 times. It gets old, but it's not hard, but it's hauling water. Bree, you had 5 acres in Virginia and only used 1 acre for gardening and living. Yeah, see what made us decide on the amount of property, that we knew we weren't going to get to have 40 acres. So what made us do that is I asked Dean to go out there, and between where the greenhouse is, the gardens, his outbuildings, my outbuilding, the chickens, all that we use daily, it was 3 acres. So I was like, well, what's the point then? The one place that was in this place called Elk Creek, Virginia, it was on 10. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic, and I loved the idea of that. It was a little bit more, but it was fine still. And it was an old home. The kitchen needed some work because it was still very dated to the point of like, it was the late 1800s. And so, yeah, it just still was like in the late 1800s. So certain things like, for the stove and stuff like that. But it was gorgeous, gorgeous. But it was 2 floors and a huge staircase. And I was in love with it. I didn't feel drawn to it, but I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. It already had the chicken coop on there, but it was not for us. I mean, it went under contract like a week later, but this house, like I said, I was drawn to it. I know that sounds ridiculous, to some people, but I saw it and I had to see the inside and I immediately wanted to go there. And then when I saw, the little cottage for the canning kitchen or sewing room or whatever you wanted to do, I was just like, I knew that I had to have that house. It sounds like really also like kind of greedy, and I don't mean to be. But I remember looking at Dean saying, I want to live in that house. And when we went there, and that is not like Dean to spend money to grab a couple plane tickets and go to Virginia to look at it. Um, I walked in and I was just like, this is it. I knew that I was going to live in that house. And we did. We put an offer in on it that day. But let's see. Let me catch up. That's not bad. So with our age, we're not senior citizens, but hopefully I'm hoping my hair will go back to the way it was. So with our age, let's see, our 1.5 acre is doable for us. Yeah. And 3 acres is going to be doable for us. Mhm. So, yeah, it does not bother me in the least, going from 40 to 3, because you know what? I don't walk this 40. We don't run cattle. We don't have big livestock. So there's still a lot you can do on 3 acres. So I would like to put in an apple tree. Albert asking about the fruit trees. We have peaches there. I would like to have an apple tree. We like pears, but I'm not sure it would be, we're not that big, into it, but apples and peaches we do eat a lot from. So it would take an apple tree really 5 years to come to maturity to produce. But the peaches, I'm thinking that, that's a mature tree. And there's 2 of them out there. So, and persimmons, my mom says that they're real tart. I don't know anything about them. But the only reason I think that's what it is because I didn't recognize everything was in budding stage when I was there. So I was taking a lot of pictures, and then later on I was doing the Google picture search. And yeah, and so one of them says persimmon. So I need to kind of look into that. But the roses, I can't wait. And sunflowers galore. I've got that place is going to be perfect for all my sunflowers. But yeah, I'm so excited. It almost feels a little homesick. But yeah, it's good. Dean's gonna be back to mowing grass, but that's okay. We'll have a machine to do that. There will be no pushing that property for sure. But I've already, like I said, picked up the garden spot, so it's close to a frost-free spigot. It's going to be an in-ground garden. I will do some container planting for like stuff that I want to keep near the kitchen. I'll do some containers there. But yeah, I think I'm looking at right now 10 by 30. I would like to have 2 10 by 30 beds, garden plots. But I think the first year we're just going to do 1 10 by 30. And I'm going to ask the lady who used to live there. That's one of the things. I think I know where their garden spot was. And I went down there because Virginia is known to have red clay soil. And there's some places in Virginia you cannot grow just because of red clay soil. But it can be amended, but it's a big thing. But so I went down to where I think that they had a vegetable garden at one time. because the way the land lays, it's like in two places I can see little divots and they go the whole length. And so it's like they were garden rows. And I went down there and dug a little hole and the soil was dark. So I'm like, oh, that is nice. So plus, it's been sitting there, it's covered, with growth, grass and um, clover and stuff like that. And then, yeah, so it's a much different lifestyle. Before and after pictures would be fun to see. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do some befores and after. That's a good idea. There is this one room, and of course, when we were there and I made that little video, I did not go and show the whole house for several reasons. Number one, I've never done that because our private area of the house needs to stay that way. But in this house, the way it's laid out, I can just shut the door there to those back rooms. It's just bedrooms and bathroom. But there is this room that I call the room to everywhere. And Dean was like, "What are we going to do with this?" And I had to figure it out. But when you come in that front door, it's what I call a front room. It has a fireplace in it and French doors that lead to the room to everywhere. Well, it's like this big room, and it's really pretty and has chair rail in it and stuff like that. But there's one, two, three, four doors because when you go from the French doors to the room to everywhere, the doorway to the left goes to the dining room. The door straight ahead goes to the kitchen, and the door on the other side leads to the private area of the bedrooms and bath. So it's Dean's like, what in the world is this? This is a huge waste of space. What are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to make that like a library, like a sitting room where we have tons of books, and they've just remained packed up. Because Dean was going to do built-in bookshelves. We had no plans for this. This just kind of fell in our lap. It's really weird. Now that we look back, we can see how this all came about, but kind of in a way we were ignoring it. Let me get back to that. But anyway, so the room to everywhere. So we're going to have the bookshelves, the tall bookshelves, and fill it back up with our books. And then I'm going to have like two nice chairs in there, like little end tables, set Dean's desk up in one corner and, his banjo up in another corner, and just have it like a little, seating room, library type thing. But talking about that, because we didn't get the built-in bookshelves done up in the loft, and we're not going to do that before we move. I think we thought we were grieving different events that had happened this fall. Our friend Annie passed away in August, and we spent a lot of time with her and back in Virginia. And so if we had been there, we would have definitely been seeing her through her illness. And I still have some voicemails, from her, and a note she sent me, just thanking me, even though we were long distance, for being there with her. It was a comfort, but I didn't feel that way because we're so far away, and we didn't go back for her service. So we grieved that for a while, and I think we even made a video. And then just things that would just pop up, but we were just like thinking, this is life. Maybe it disappointed us. Maybe it was, the holidays were always hard for me because we were alone. And I was always used to hosting and having mom and dad and the kids drop by. So the holidays were always hard. But things just kind of happened here and there. It wasn't like boom, boom, boom. So then Dean and I were talking in January. It was beginning of January, and I was building a fire, and he was just talking to me about stuff, and it just kind of was like, you know, I've had it. I'm done. I'm done living out in the wilderness, and I love the whole thing that it's been. I love homesteading. That's not going to stop, obviously. Um, but really, we are completely alone. And that's fine because, Dean and I have a very strong bond. And this experience, this way of life has bonded us even closer. But yeah, I mean, you are on your own. There's nobody to call. There's they have farmers markets out here, but like I used to go to Virginia Beach to this quilt festival that they did every year. And I took mom with me one year, and they just, have you can buy all kinds of vintage fabrics and just different supplies and all that kind of stuff. And I loved it. And I figured coming out here that they would have that too, especially being the nearby town's very artsy, but they don't. And I joined a group, Project Linus, to do the blankets and stuff like that. But I didn't, I did a few, and I haven't been in a long time just because the last I went was last year, because I was getting ready to have back surgery, and things just kept rolling and happening, and my heart just wasn't in it anymore. So um, they might, they do have like a craft show type thing at the fairgrounds once a year in August for the fair, the 4-H, all that. But it's really like where people have made things, crocheted things, sewn things, quilted things, and they're put up for judging. And then I'm not sure. I think some are for sale, but it's not like a regular craft show. So I'm anxious to do that again and to go to the quilt festivals and to go to Pennsylvania. And mom and I went to a festival there. Oh, it was fantastic. So I'm anxious. Lynn, I can totally relate. Our new property fell unexpectedly in our laps as well. I'm so excited for you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it just it kind of did, like I said, after the first of the year, it was the first week of January, I was just feeling kind of kaput, you know, not for homesteading, but for homesteading here. And yeah, so I just started cruising Zillow, and I did not expect it just to, there were some stressful days. Like we had a couple lives, and I was just like, oh, I'm stressed out. And that's when we were going through phases of having the appraisal completed and people being unresponsive. And, they're supposed to have a deadline of a certain day, and it's 10 days later, and you're waiting on it. Stuff like that really stressed me out. And then going back and forth with the offer and the contract and all that kind of stuff. So that stressed us out a little bit because there was a lot of unknowns. It was a lot of unknowns. And so it was kind of like, what do we do here? And is this going to happen? And anyway, it was in Williamsburg. You went every year. What festival is that, Bree? There's also one, a big one in Virginia Beach, if you're talking about a quilt festival. If there's one in Williamsburg, I didn't know about it, but I will be going to that too. In Virginia, you were president of your quilting club. I did not know you were a quilter, Bree. I'm telling you, if you come up for the Amish produce auction, we're going to have to meet up. That would be awesome. Dean and I were talking about it the other night. Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show. That was it. So it used to be in Virginia Beach. Excuse me. I went to a couple in Virginia Beach but it could have moved, I guess. I'm sure. I mean, you're there, you would know. But yeah, Dean always got a little, when I went because I was like, oh my gosh, you should have seen this quilting machine. You should have seen these sewing machines. And he had a whole room of sewing machines because he was a parachute rigger. And so he had his own little shop. He had like 10 sewing machines in that one room. They each did different things. And so then, do we still have the console, Dean? He had a machine. Yeah. Okay. He had a machine for me that was more industrial. It was just a straight stitch. And I was going to be using that to do my binding and stuff like that. And, when I don't do free motion quilting, just, I could do it there because it had really big throat. And we never got it set up in time before we moved. But he said, I didn't even know if we still had it. He says we do. So that's exciting. Yes, I can't wait. Everyone needs some sort of community. Yes, that's true. This move will be good for you after being so isolated. You are exactly right. Yeah, I think that was the final straw for us. I don't know what the true final thing. Um, but yeah, like recently my ablation's coming up and I keep calling trying to get something sooner. But Dean's going to be overseeing some work at the new house and he's going to be gone for a week. And so right now it's the same week that my ablation is scheduled for. And so a friend of ours who lives out of state, she had said, well, why don't you just call somebody else to take you? And I was like, yeah, right. Who? And she says, well, you could get an Uber. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't get an Uber to come way out here. They first of all, they would get lost. The Google doesn't come right to our gate. It goes way down the road. If you don't know where you're going out here, you would never find us. And at the time, that's what we wanted. We had been in the city and we were so sick of it. And it was just going in a direction that was totally opposite. We were miserable. I didn't even want to go out anymore. I hated going grocery store or anything because fighting the traffic, people were rude. The more people that came down from Northern Virginia, the worse it got. And now we have friends that tell us you won't even recognize it's been built up so much just in the 3.5, 4 years you guys have been gone. So it's like, that's fine because I don't want to recognize it. I didn't want to be anywhere close being back there. I did not even want to be like an hour away from it. It had to be more. So that was Central Virginia. So we're in Southern Virginia. So where we are is great. It worked out to where I did not know the logistics of that house, but it came to be that it truly is, even though it's Southern Virginia, it's kind of central to everybody we love. So like if you go, a certain distance to the west, it's mom and dad's house. And, you go a certain distance to the north, it's my brother and my kids and friends a little bit further past. And if you go, northeast, it's my friend Edie. And so it's amazing. So when we found that out, it was kind of like, but yeah, you're right. Everybody does need a sense of community. And I told Dean 2 things and we agreed on this. Because we needed the separation from city life. We were just so sick of it. And there was a lot that we wanted to do, and we just needed that space. And we loved what we were doing. I'm really proud of us for what we accomplished out here and the lifestyle that we've been leading. But there's no sense of community because if you do know somebody, you usually see them like once a year, maybe if you're close a couple times a year, but that's it. Imagine that. Think about that for a minute, not seeing anyone except once a year. Um, and it also wasn't for lack of trying. Dean tried to get involved in a couple of groups. And it's kind of like when he went, everybody's really nice. There's nobody, people were not rude or mean or anything. They're really nice, but it's just kind of like you meet, there's nothing after. If you like, you meet for that group or like Project Linus or, Dean's group, it's just like you're there to do that. And then when you're gone, you leave and there's no community outside of that. It's like, you don't call that lady up outside of that meeting once a month, you know. So, and the culture is very different out here. Um, and I just don't think we fit in anymore. So, so you went from one extreme to the other. Yeah. Now you are in the middle. Yeah. My husband said he's happy for you, and Dean. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Bree, I would love to be able to meet up with you if you come up to the Amish produce auction. Plus, if you do, and we're living there, I will be there every time they have it. It's twice a week, all summer long. So the lady who sold our house, she goes. So she says, "You'll still be seeing me." So that'll be good. I feel so bad. I've run over 6 o'clock. I'm just so excited. Did anybody have any questions? I have run my mouth and rambled on for the past hour. But if you do have some questions, feel free to ask. I was waiting to see if Julie would join. I know she's dealing with a lot of stuff right now. I know some of you may remember her. She's been on our chat quite a bit. She is the one whose husband is sergeant over homicide in DC. Imagine that stress. But I'm going to leave it as unknown right now. But for all my praying friends, please pray for her son. He just graduated from the Marine Merchant Academy this past summer. So where we are on the world stage, and she got some news today. So I'm going to leave it at that. And his name is Zachary. And so for those of you who feel compelled, keep Julie and her family in your prayers because she's facing a lot right now and she could use it. But yeah, I did want to ask that. Okay, so nobody has dropped any questions for me. You have chatted with me quite a bit, and I appreciate that. I love it. I've missed you guys. I missed you guys last week. I told Dean, I said, we're virtual, but you guys, these are the only friends I have. But I do feel like we have a great community here. It really is awesome. Lynn, it's been so nice hearing all about your new place and the journey getting there. Thank you. And thanks for coming along. And, I'm going to be looking for a bee mentor. That's another thing I'm reaching out to do this year. Okay, guys, I've held you up. And thank you for hanging out with me for longer than an hour this week. I think my next video is going to be our Azure haul because it is coming up this week. We pick it up this week. So we'll do that. But yeah. Okay, guys. Good night. Take care. Thank you for being here with us. We're just always so glad to see you. Take care. See you next week. Bye.